As Zelda and Minoru discussed construct technology, the two quickly realized they had a great deal in common. Minoru also took a keen interest in Zelda's Purapad and offered to do her best to restore some of its built-in functionality. Alas, Minoru was at a loss when it came to returning Zelda to her own era. She did, however, share her knowledge of draconification, a forbidden act by which a secret stone transforms a person into an eternal dragon at the cost of their heart and mind. Aware that making such a sacrifice would not remedy her situation, Zelda found herself unsure of how to proceed. But after a few words of encouragement from Rauru, she decided to speak with Sonia to learn more about the Queen's ability to manipulate time. As Zelda busied herself with life in this new era, Minoru invited the princess on a survey of the depths, a gargantuan space beneath Hyrule that contained strange facilities, constructs, and relics from the Zonai who had once thrived on the surface. With the Zonai gone and their advanced civilization lost from the depths, the vast subterranean land had become rife with dangerous creatures and shades, which hindered Minoru's investigations at every turn. Concerned for Zelda's safety, Rauru offered to join the two explorers as they ventured deep beneath Hyrule's surface. But unknown perils awaited them in the perpetual darkness. Between cultivating her newfound powers, assisting the royal court in a variety of manners, and delving deeper into construct technology, Zelda found herself leading a busy, yet ultimately fulfilling, existence in ancient Hyrule. One day, however, while training to manipulate time in Hyrule Field, Zelda and Sonia received an urgent report. A swarm of rampaging Molduga, giant creatures hailing from the Gerudo Desert, was heading straight for Hyrule Castle. A short time after the attack on Hyrule Castle, Rauru received an unexpected visitor. Ganondorf, chief of the Gerudo people, and the lone male amongst them. Claiming to have dealt with the renegade Gerudo faction that struck at Hyrule Castle, Ganondorf then pledged to serve the kingdom as a show of good faith. But Zelda could sense the cruel ambition behind Ganondorf's words, behind even his very name. While Rauru shared in this concern, he deemed it best to accept the Gerudo's fealty, in hopes of more closely watching over their chieftain's actions. Having been accepted into Rauru's forces as an allied commander, Ganondorf promptly took up residence within the walls of Hyrule Castle. Nearly 6 months had passed since the Gerudo came under Hyrulean rule, and the kingdom found itself amidst a period of great peace and tranquility. Yet beneath that apparent tranquility, the unquenchable flames of ambition still burned strong in Ganondorf's eyes. Though the people of Hyrule celebrated their newfound peace, it was soon shattered as one after another, the castle received dire reports that shades were appearing across the lands. Deeply troubled by this news, Rauru sought to defend his lands at once, but before he could act, Ganondorf came forth with a detachment of his strongest warriors and offered to personally deal with the impending threat. Well aware that Ganondorf could exploit this disturbance for his own selfish gain, Rauru decided to accompany him in the battle ahead, not as a show of support, but as a means of carefully observing the Gerudo's movements from up close. And thus, Ganondorf set off for Mount Hylia with Rauru following close behind, leaving Sonia and Zelda to look after affairs at the castle in the king's stead. With Sonia's blood still fresh on his hands, Ganondorf used her secret stone to transform himself into a being of pure evil. As a blood-red moon loomed high overhead, the the new Demon King summoned forth terrible monsters to wreak havoc across Hyrule. Fortunately, Rauru and Zelda were able to make use of the Poripad and flee the castle before Ganondorf could claim their lives as well. Hyrule Castle, once a sacred symbol of peace, now played host to the great evil that threatened to consume the kingdom. And Rauru, having lost both his home and his beloved queen in but an instant, was overcome with sorrow and rage in equal measure. A short time before Rauru and the others encountered Grimgera, the Archfiend of Tempests, in Hyrule Field, a construct and a Korok watched from high above as the sanguine light of Ganondorf's blood moon swept across Hyrule. Together, Calamo and the construct repelled Grimgera and put a halt to their enemy's ruthless offensive. Yet no sooner was the battle won than the construct rushed off, as if inexorably drawn to the presence of evil. Its destination was the Hebra region, home to the feathered Rito tribe. The pair's arrival did not go unnoticed, however, and the moment they set foot in the frigid land, they found themselves face to face with an onslaught of ferocious monsters. After a brutal battle, Rauru and his fellow escapees retreated to a temple in Tanagar Canyon for a momentary respite. Still, little hope remained for Hyrule at large, as the newly crowned Demon King's hordes left naught but ruin in their wake. As Rauru's concern grew ever deeper, a scout returned with grave news. In the eastern region of Lanayru, the aquatic Zora were embroiled in a bitter conflict, one which had regrettably claimed the life of their king. Thus, his daughter Kia had no choice but to lead her people in battle against a nigh insurmountable onslaught. Unable to abandon a people in need, Rauru came to a decision. He and his companions would set forth for Lanayru in an urgent quest to aid their allies. Calamo and his construct partner managed to fend off the horde of monsters, thanks to the aid of Rafika, the Rito Elder. Their next target was the Elden region, home to the mighty Gorons and the ever-imposing Death Mountain. With Rafika's Rito warriors following close behind, the pair set out for Death Mountain's crater. Rauru and his companions succeeded in delivering the Zora from peril. But before they had even a moment to celebrate, they learned the Gorons needed assistance in ridding Death Mountain of a powerful monster. Thus, Rauru and the others made for the mountain with all haste, only to find that the monster had been defeated before they could even arrive. Alas, their luck was short-lived, for the monster onslaught had only just begun. With hordes of enemies closing in, the brave Gorons once again found themselves in dire circumstances. By joining forces with Agriston, chief of the Gorons, Rauru and the others managed to drive the hordes back from Death Mountain. Having secured the support of both the Zora and the Gorons, they returned to the temple in Tanagar Canyon, where they devised a plan to fight back against the ever-growing forces of darkness. Aware that simply responding to the monster onslaughts as they occurred would keep his army in a state of perpetual defense, Rauru set out to form a proactive alliance with the Rito and the Gerudo alike. But with the fate of Hyrule hanging by the slimmest of threads, its king couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of worry. Upon receiving a request for urgent aid, Rauru asked Zelda and the others to rendezvous with him and Minoru near the Gerudo Desert, where he promptly headed next. The group then reunited at the edge of the desert, and were taken to meet a fierce Gerudo warrior by the name of Artie. As the Hyrulean forces celebrated their victory, a wicked construct descended from the sky, almost as if drawn to the Night Construct's sacred power. Alas, its might proved too great for Rauru and his allies, who had little choice but to flee the desert. With their escape covered by the valiant Night Construct, the group had little trouble in falling back. But that safety would come to be short-lived indeed, as a horde of monsters appeared outside their base of operations in Tanagar Canyon. Knowing it was merely a matter of time until the enemy arrived at their gates, Rauru found his mind tortured by the difficult decisions he would soon be forced to make. Rauru entrusted secret stones to Kia, Artie, Agriston, and Rafika, who together with Zelda and Minoru vowed to defend Hyrule as its 6 sages. The group then set the oncoming monster horde to rout in a tremendous display of strength. With first-hand proof of their combined might, Rauru resolved to go on the offensive against the Demon King's onslaught. Thus, he and the 6 sages held a war council to discuss how they might reclaim Hyrule Castle and defeat Ganondorf once and for all. Before the final battle could begin, they first needed to clear a path to the castle grounds. To this end, Rauru proposed splitting their forces into 2 separate fronts, each of which would be tasked with stemming the tide of monsters at its source. The Night Construct was charged with launching a surprise attack on the enemy forces stationed in the depths. Meanwhile, Rauru and the 6 sages would set out to engage the ever-growing monster army awaiting them in the Ceres Scablands. While the battle raged in the Ceres Scablands, Calamo and the Night Construct headed for the Elma Knolls to carry out their role in the King's operation. As Rauru's army battled monsters on the surface, the Night Construct set out to strike a devastating blow to the monster strongholds in the depths, thereby eliminating the enemy and securing a new foothold, all in one fell swoop. Thus, the fate of Rauru's plan hinged entirely on the Night Construct's success. Rauru's army successfully purged the Ceres Scablands above the surface, while the Night Construct claimed hold of the enemy lairs located in the depths below. United as a single front once more, the group repurposed a captured outpost as their forward base of operations, and proceeded to eliminate any foes that dared remain in the surrounding areas. As they made to depart their newly established command post, Minoru pulled Rauru and Zelda aside and proceeded to share her findings regarding the Night Construct. Owing largely to the power of the secret stones, the tides had begun to turn in Rauru's favor. Yet even his army's victory against the Third Archfiend did little to slow the forces of evil, who, according to the Rito, had once more set their sights upon Great Hyrule Forest. Determined to rebuke this attack, Rauru and his companions moved swiftly to intercept. However, nothing could have prepared them for what lay ahead. Riding aboard the Stormwind Ark, Rauru's army broke through the enemy's fortifications and made to launch their assault on Hyrule Castle itself. The myriad peoples of Hyrule were united in one purpose: to free their homeland from the foul clutches of the Demon King. At long last, the final battle was upon them. Realizing they could never hope to defeat the Demon King within Hyrule Castle's walls, Rauru and the sages turned to their next strategy, one in which they would instead lure Ganondorf into the subterranean depths. Trusting the Night Construct and the armies of Hyrule to handle the monsters on the surface, Rauru led the sages to a site beneath Hyrule Field. There, with an abundance of sacred power at their backs, they would confront Ganondorf's tyranny once and for all. With his gaze steady and resolve steeled, Rauru had but to wait for his nemesis to arrive.